to put your camera on when you get a second. Those of you, hey Heidi. So those of you that are not familiar with these workshops presented by Pat Stone, what we like to do is we like to tell everybody to please go ahead and put your business name. If you do have an active business, go ahead and put any kind of contact information in the chat that you'd like people to connect with you. You might find, like I said, on other workshops, you might find someone on here that's your potential client, or you might find someone on here that you would like to collaborate with in business. So please go ahead and put that in the chat for us. We will get started in just a second. I know we're going to have a few people kind of just straggling in. Again, those of you who are not familiar with the enterprise at Pat Stone, I am Jahaira Zapata. I am the Senior Business Development Officer here, and I have my colleague Marisol on the line. We are going to be fielding your questions today, but just a little bit about what we do here. So two main things. One of them, as you see, you'll see today, we provide free technical assistance. And I'm just going to go ahead and mute anybody that's popping in here so we don't have any background noise. So like I said, we provide free technical assistance via virtual workshops. And basically what that means is we are here to provide you the education that you need to just make sure that your business is sustainable. So even if you know some of the information, it's good to refresh, because as we all know, times change, things change. You want to be on top of your game, right? Thing number two that we do, we provide funding to small businesses. And so that is not only to existing businesses, but also to startups. So with our particular loan products, and we're actually going to be announcing in the next few maybe weeks or so, a few additional loan products that we have, or products in general that we have. But right now, the main thing that we want to let you know is, again, we provide funding, small businesses, anywhere from $5,000 to $250,000. Interest rates are fixed, and it's anywhere from 7.5% to 9.5%. And there are no prepayment penalty fees. So if business is going amazing and you want to pay that loan off quickly so you could just kind of get it off your back, feel free to do so. There are no fees attached to that. All right. That is the spiel for now. I'm going to go ahead and bring in Duncan. I'm sure a ton of you have seen text messages, emails, phone calls, people knocking at your door. Like, Duncan is everywhere, and he is an amazing partner of ours that really just gets the word out about all of the things that we're doing here at the Enterprise Center at Pat Stone. So Duncan, take it away.
What's happening? Good afternoon, everyone, or evening, afternoon. We're right in the middle. Okay, good afternoon. We'll roll with that. My name is Duncan Kirkwood. I am a partner with the Enterprise Center at Pat Stone, and I'm so excited that y'all are on this call. As y'all can see, I'm in traffic, so I'm sorry I'm not in my little home studio vibe, but I just wanted to pop in and say, one, thank you all for tuning in, but two, I want to just be real with y'all. Marketing is the difference between your organization being some small side hustle that you really like and you want to grow, and a real business that's making you real money. You know what I mean? When I first connected with Jahaira and Pat Stone, it was maybe two and a half years ago when I met Jahaira. I was started my speaking business. I was charging $500 a speech and hoping to get 1,000 a speech. You know what I'm saying? And getting one or two gigs, a month type of thing, trying to make it happen. But after connecting with the Enterprise Center at Pat Stone, going through a lot of their training and just really working with them, now I charge $6,000 a speech, and I'm doing 4 to 5 every month. You feel what I'm saying? And so it has totally transformed my life. So for your business, I need y'all to know that investing your time and energy in marketing is like, that's the level up. And we got an expert here that's going to give y'all all type of information. So I hope you got a notepad. Like, I hope you got a notepad, a pen. I hope you secretly recording on your phone, something, because this is like something you need to get the info. And then here's the even better part. This is just kind of the appetizer. Today is just to give you some info, give you the appetizer information, but they already got a 4-part series planned to go deep dive and walk you through like actually leveling up your marketing. So if you, Jahaira, can you drop that link in the chat? So if I'm you, you should be already registering for that. While they talking, you should click the link in that she gonna put in the chat for the next one, so you could be set up for the 4-part series because it's free. Like this type of course should cost like $700 or $800 a person to go. You about to get 5 basically free marketing trainings. I don't spend over 2,000 going through professional development and training trying to get my marketing game up. They doing it for free. So, please take advantage. I mean, it always goes like this. Some people gonna take advantage and they gonna level up, get the information, grow. And some people gonna say, "Oh, I feel good. I went to a workshop," and they ain't gonna do nothing, and they ain't gonna get the same results. So you gotta choose which one of them people you gonna be. You know what I mean? Because your business really can grow. You really can. I'm hiring people now. I hire 2 people. You know what I mean? Like everything is my life. My life has changed. I'm on my terms, and it's all because obviously I put the work in and the skill, but the marketing part I learned and grew. So I'm just happy y'all here. You know what I mean? So Jahida, I'll turn it back over to you. And also, I'm proud of you, Jahida. You talking about money. Jahida be scary at Pathstone. They don't want to talk about their money products, but like they give loans to businesses. So you don't gotta go to the bank and try to hope that Bank of America is gonna give you a loan. You go right here at the Pathstone. They're gonna work with you, hold your hand, help you fix your credit. You know what I mean, and give you the money, and then help you to grow so you can make sure you're making way more. I mean, it's incredible the work they do in our community. So I'm glad you guys are here taking advantage. And with that, I'll turn it back over to you, Jahida.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Duncan. As you all can see, the link is in the chat if you have not clicked it yet. Again, everything that we provide here is free. So go ahead and click that, even if you're not registering at the moment, because you're obviously paying attention to the course that we're going to give right now. At least click on the link, and that page will be open so that when this is done, you can go ahead and register. Let me see if there's anything else here. Also, so no, the marketing course does not have to be New York based. You can be anywhere nationwide and you can take this course, so that's not a problem. I'd also like to just let everyone know, if you have any questions in today's course, go ahead and put your questions in the chat. Marisol and I will be fielding your questions. If for some reason we don't quite understand the question, we'll ask you to come off of mute and ask it yourself. But just a quick overview of the upcoming 4-week course. Like I said, it's 4 weeks. So it starts on May 23rd. It's going to be the same time as today. So basically 4 Tuesdays, and that's from 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. So May 23rd to June 13th. A couple of the things that, like, just the overview of topics we'll be covering is basically building a strong visual brand. We all know, again, for those of you that have been on calls, and I've emphasized how important it is to have a consistent visual brand. We're going to be going over that. We're also going to be talking about growing your online presence. And then in addition to that, we'll talk about creating content that basically makes the most out of your time and money, right? Because a lot of entrepreneurs there's a budget, right? There's always a budget, but especially when you're starting off, you want to make sure that you are doing the most with what you currently have. And then finally, we're actually going to be assembling a marketing plan that you're excited to use, right? You want to make sure that you can kind of plan things ahead so you're not out here juggling all these balls, because again, as entrepreneurs, you have a lot of other things happening. Typically, you're wearing a ton of hats until you have the capacity to hire or outsource some of the tasks that you have. So again, if you have not registered yet, we cannot emphasize this as much. Please go ahead and register, or at least register after today's class. That is it for announcements. Again, thank you all for joining. And we are going to go with Suzanne Rodriguez. She is our marketing expert for today and for the 4-week marketing course. So Suzanne.
Great, thank you. Hello and welcome again, everyone. Thank you for being here. And I think just being here and showing that you already know that marketing is important is a good sign. So keep up the good work, and I hope that you find practical tools to help you move forward in your marketing today and with the course. So to tell you a little bit about me, I'm an entrepreneur too. I established my DBA 5 years ago. And I jumped to full-time with my business in January of 2022. I have a degree in design and over 15 years of experience in advertising and photography. And I am providing my Instagram and Facebook handle in the chat. And if you haven't already, please, I love looking through and seeing your business names and how we can contact you. I think one of the most valuable parts of being an entrepreneur is the amazing community that it comes with. So definitely take advantage of connecting with others on this course. I'd love to connect with you. And let's, stay as cheerleaders for one another as we're working hard. So for tonight, my goal is to help you think about the important things that you should consider when marketing your business. You know why you're passionate about what you do better than anyone. So I think that makes you an ideal candidate for marketing, especially at the beginning when you don't have money for paying an advertising firm and you're trying to keep costs low. So there's definitely tools that we can build so you have a great foundation for marketing your business. So tonight we'll be talking about messaging, the words you're using. We'll be talking about your audience, how to figure out, who your audience is, how to generate leads, your visual brand, and also when does it make sense to hire a professional. So too many business owners don't know where to start when it comes to marketing. Frameworks Creative, which is my company, exists to empower business owners like you with the marketing and branding tools you need to be excited to share what you do and stay within your budget. So these are also, I've got QR codes on there. If you want to follow along, I try to provide a lot of content that is valuable for growing entrepreneurs. But my goal is to empower you to do your marketing. So hopefully tonight you'll find tools and actionable steps. There will be a worksheet that will be provided to you after class. That's intended to help you plan and to take action, take the next steps to build a marketing plan for your business. So I don't want you to leave and feel like you're not sure where to go next. So we're going to start out, skip the slide there, talking about messaging. So when you're thinking about your marketing, the words you're using are a huge piece, right, of how you're communicating what you're selling and how you're going to connect with your potential customers. So if you could all think of a company trying to stay away from like national brands, but thinking of a company that you love, that you'd like to look at their site, and we'll evaluate, pretty quickly, can we tell what they sell, how it can make our lives better, and how we can purchase this product or service. And I do have an example one too, but if you can think of a brand that you want to share and have us look at, go ahead and put that in the chat now.
All right, I just put a little reminder in the chat. So as Suzanne said, so Suzanne, we're doing local and not.
Yeah, trying to stick. So just things that other people might not have heard of. So Starbucks, I would say, is one that's a little bit too well known because we know what it is already before we're going to look at their website. So thinking maybe a local business or maybe just a brand that you don't think everyone will be familiar with.
Okay, perfect. So we're waiting. We have over 30 people on the call. So I know folks on here have some brands that they'd like everyone else to know. All right, we have Butter Block Bakery. I have heard of that one. Beads by Jira. That's almost like my name, so I'm feeling it. Anybody else? Bacardi. Well, you know, Heidi, we we have to keep it professional right now. Who else? All right. Butterblock Shop. Okay. Sultanicals. That sounds like a cool one. I've never heard of that one. All right.
Okay, so I'm gonna pull
Burrillos.
up a couple of these, and we'll just take a look.
Perfect.
So for jumping in, everyone. Okay, so this is butterblockshop.com. And we're just gonna quickly look here, and we're looking for what do they sell? How does it make their customers' lives better, and how can we buy it? So if you can write the answers to any of those questions in the chat, go ahead. So what are they selling?
All right. We have
Baked
some
goods.
baked
Yep.
goods.
Yep, so right in the logo, you can see it's clarified that it's a bakery. The photo right up front here, it's very clear. They sell baked goods and pastries. And food is kind of an interesting product because it's a basic human need, right? We know why it makes our lives better naturally. So it doesn't look like they spell that out exactly, but I do think there's some brands that you might not have to do that for. So, and then how can we order this bread? Can we tell by looking at this site how we can order it?
I don't see anything in the chat yet. So for everyone that's kind of looking along, are you able to see as Suzanne is scrolling through the webpage, can you see where you can order? Yes, at the top it had order, okay. Online or they seem to have locations, okay. All
Yep,
right.
it looks like they have their hours here. And then it does say add to cart all the way down the page here. So I'm guessing you can also order online. But
Patty, I like where your brain is at. Yes, the CTA is hard to find. So the
Yeah,
call to action.
right, I do feel like it could add some, could use a little bit more direct, here are your options. You can either come into the shop or order and it will be mailed to you. Like, I'm a little bit unclear if you have to live near the bakery, if you can order it online, or like, is it pickup only, or do they do delivery? So they're there, but they're a little bit hard to find, I'd say. So we'll move to the next one. All right, can you see the Skinny Wick Candle Co?
Yes.
Okay. So again, we're looking for what do they sell? How does it make your life better? And how can you purchase it?
All
Yeah,
right.
so right in the name, right, candle. And their logo is visually very clear. It's a candle, right? So, and also there's photos.
All right, and someone asked in the chat, the acronym what the acronym CTA means, and that means call to action. So like buy now, or order today. Like what's the action item that's going to happen when you click this button?
And we're gonna actually talk more about that next. So we will definitely get into that. So they sell candles. It says your new favorite candle company. But there's not a clear spelled out message about why these candles will make our lives better. Looks like there's several places you can buy them. or shop now. So
Crystal
those-
makes Crystal makes a good point. She says they're soy wax, but could put more benefits on front page.
Yes, good point. Yes. Because we see that in the photo here. And then in the description on the products. Yep. Okay. And then I think we'll look at one more.
Okay, while you're doing that, Suzanne, Ashley asks, should the clear message of why go on your front page of website? Wait, Ashley, do you want to come off mute and ask your question?
Yeah, I'm trying to write quickly and still pay attention and not. So what I was referencing is the why, or why is it important, what it's gonna do for you. That message should be directly on the front page of website versus any other drop-down page on the website, correct?
Yeah, I believe that these three things should be on your homepage. They shouldn't take much time, 10 seconds or less, for people to see and clearly understand. So yeah.
Sorry, my brain is now formulating more questions off of that. Do you feel like that should be verbiage or pictures or both, or it just depends? Okay.
Yep, both. Yeah. And your logo can also help communicate your visual brand. So yeah, it should be clear using all of those tools, your words, your visuals, your brand, what you sell, and why it makes their lives better, right? And then a clear button on what you want them to do.
Thank you.
So here's the last site we're going to look at today. It's one that I came across the other day and I thought was pretty good. So it says, enjoy coffee in a way that lifts everyone. And then also perpetual joy. So you're getting joy from coffee, but it's also, socially minded. So ethically sourced coffee, which you can learn about more as you scroll down here.
Sarah asks, Suzanne, is a CTA required for someone who is just providing a service and not a product?
Absolutely. Whether you're, so for instance, most of what I offer is a service, and I definitely always have a call to action. So if you're engaging customers in any way, whether it's, money for a product or money for a service, or just engaging someone like a nonprofit would be, like in a volunteer role, or if they're donating, no matter what you're offering, it's going to require them to take action, right? So you want to be clear on what it is that you're offering and how can they engage. So it's going to look different, yeah, definitely, for a service than a product. And actually, I was just putting together the plan for one of the future marketing weeks, and we go through specifically, suggestions for retailers versus organizations, and what those can look like, what examples are. So on this site, the calls to action, it's learn more and not actually purchase, which is kind of surprising to me. I guess that's the one thing I would say. If you can purchase online, I'm a little bit surprised they don't give us that option. Oh, it is. It's on the second screen here. Buy now. So we can either buy now or learn more about like how their coffee lifts everyone. Okay, let me just get back to my other screen here. Does anybody have any thoughts on that? Any questions, any other questions, or can you maybe picture what your homepage on your website should look like now, and things start seeing things that you should include when you put that together?
I don't see any additional questions just yet. But I do see some feedback saying definitely. So Crystal says definitely. She sees what you're saying. Oh, wait, Ashley, I see your hand up.
So here's my question on wording for service based. I believe mine is book now, but I'm always so cautious with words because sometimes people feel like you're like yelling at them. Is that good wording for call to action for service base, or what are some other things that come to your mind, Suzanne?
Yeah, so for an example, for mine, I have schedule a free consultation. So same idea, right? And I think, you know, if somebody is on your site and gonna click that button, they wanna, if they're interested enough to do that, they're gonna wanna know what to do. So I think the clarity kind of trumps, you know, adding lots of extra words and then wondering like, this is really nice, but what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So just being very clear about what you're asking them to do. And I don't think that they won't click on it, obviously, if they're not interested in engaging.
Thank you.
All right, and I do see another hand. Elizabeth, did you want to come off mute and ask your question?
Sure. My question is, I'm changing the name of my product. First, my product was called Happies, Happeas, but now a lawyer approached me because Hippies, Hippeas, it's a brand. So it's everywhere right now. And so I now I'm changing not the name of the company, because the company, it will be Happy's company, because I have my Instagram, Facebook, website with Happy's company. But my product will be named Whoopies. So now, how do I incorporate the product name to my website? Because I'm going to start selling at a farmer's market, and I have to change. If I do, I will lose all my Instagram, all my Facebook followers, and I have to change the website too. So that's my question.
Right. I mean, so if it's legally a name that's going to be tricky, then obviously I'm not a lawyer, but I would be careful with that. But I think it's fine to have a product that's called something different than your business. But if it's not a name you're using, I would work on, definitely take advantage of that audience, but kind of start directing them to a new location with your new name.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, and one quick last question before we move on. Crystal says, so I'm trying to figure out how to message why my artwork makes customers' lives better so I can add to my first page.
Okay. So in one of the 4 weeks for the marketing course that's coming up, we'll be talking about in more detail value proposition, which we're actually going to address a little tonight too, in ways that you can think about why your product impacts the lives of others. And so there's a couple of tools and resources that can help you find that we'll get into.
Perfect. Thank you, Suzanne.
Okay, so the next step here is calls to action, like we've been talking about, like we saw some examples on the websites. This is you spelling out how to purchase your product or service. So you want to use action words. As Ashley had asked, it's good to use action words, even if it seems a little commanding, because it's clear. And it's also, they know what they're getting into when they click on it. So, excuse me, your call to action should directly connect them with how they can purchase, right? So depending on your business, depending on what you sell, it's going to be different. But it should be short, it should be clear, it should be concise, and you should also have it multiple places. So it shouldn't just be in one place on your website and hard to find. It should be in the upper right corner, in the middle, as you scroll down the page, on other pages, as well as on your other online platforms. So I do actually have a few examples here. So for products, obviously, buy now, shop now, order today. And that would be, again, if you could order online. If not, then it would be visit us at the farmer's market, or a call to action to visit your retail space. For services, it could be try a 30-day free trial, or subscribe now, sign up, or get started. For organizations, it could be donate, volunteer, adopt, support, or give now. So thinking about your own businesses, what sort of calls to action do you think you should be using? And you can go ahead and share in the chat.
I read your mind, Suzanne. I actually put in the chat. What are
Okay.
what are some CTAs that people are currently
Nice. Perfect.
so yeah, so either what you're currently using, and after what Suzanne has said, maybe you want to change, or now after, like I said, what Suzanne has said, you know, if you don't have a current CTA, what do you think would be something you'd like to use? Feel free to go ahead and put that in the chat. Andrea says, oh, it says, I've seen on Facebook that people say this previous business name is now called this new business name. So they didn't have to lose, followers. That may help Elizabeth, that was previously mentioning about her having to change some things up. So thank you, Andrea, for that. All right, Patty says register here, click to order. Crystal says she uses order today, shop now, buy now. Ashley says book now, schedule your complimentary wake-up call, schedule your service. Jay says order now, but I would also benefit from a CTA of learn more. Awesome. All right, Beth says coming soon. Maida, let's connect. Perfect. And subscribe. That's also another one. All right, so those are a few CTAs that people are using currently. There's another one that says reserve now and learn more buttons.
Great. It sounds like you're not having any trouble coming up with ideas, and just wondering, do you feel like you know where to use them or when to use them, or does anyone have questions in terms of you know, taking these and putting them into practice?
Feel free to raise your hand if you have any questions, or maybe need a little bit of clarification on how to use these CTAs. Patty, okay, Patty, I see you have your hand up. Want to come off mute?
Hi, everyone. Suzanne, thanks for this. This is really informative. So for the CTAs, you mentioned that on a website, they should be at the top right corner, in the middle, at the bottom. How many can you actually use on a website? And it is too many, or, you know, too much, basically?
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be different for every context, but I'd say on the top right corner, that is typically will stay there. So maybe like 2 per screen, you know, so like as you're scrolling down, you might find some more, but maybe just having that one in the upper right hand corner and then down. But if your page isn't very long, you probably don't need another one. So I don't, and then we'll also be talking about transitional calls to action. So, and people are actually already mentioning ideas of that, like buy now or learn more would be a transitional call to action. So somebody is not ready to exchange money for product yet, but they're ready to take a step, like learn more. And that's something else that you'll also be including on your website.
Great, thank you.
Ashley, I see you had a similar question to Patty. Does that answer that for you? Oh, I lost you.
Yeah, just roughly, like, is there like a baseline number that does better for people? Obviously, the more you put it in their face, not too much, obviously, but like, is there a range of numbers that is good to put at least on your first page?
Yeah, I'd say at least 2 minimum, for sure. It depends on how much content you have on there. But I'd say, like, if on your website you have a section that you're talking about what products we offer, then at the end of that section, like, have a buy now button. The next section you're talking about, you know, frequently asked questions. At the end of that one, have a buy now. So kind of at the end of every section, if that makes sense. And they
Yeah.
might be different calls to action. So maybe at the end of frequently asked questions, you could have a submit your own question call to action.
Very good.
Awesome. Thanks, Suzanne.
All right, so feel free to put any more questions in the chat. We're going to move forward here. So next, we're going to start talking about your audience. So your words aren't going to really matter if you're not talking to the right people, right? So we want to talk about who your customers are. And if you haven't thought about this or kind of done research to find who your audience is, it's definitely an important step. And I know as you're building business plans, that's a big part of that as well. So just a few things that I think are good to think about when you're thinking about your ideal customers. Think about their behaviors. How do they like to make purchases? What are their activities and interests? How much research do they do before they purchase? How do they interact with brands usually? How do they, what type of language do they use? What's the style that they like to engage with? Also beliefs, so behaviors and their beliefs. So what do they look for when they're making decisions to purchase things? Who influences? What are their motivations? What are their fears? What do they value? So examples of this would be, are they eco-conscious? Do they care about their community and want to have an impact? Are they cost conscious? Is quality the thing that they care about the most, or efficiency?
We do have a quick question in the chat, Suzanne. Patty asks, what is the best way to research your target audience?
So in my experience, it's not just one way, and we will be talking more about this for sure in the course coming up. One whole course is on generating leads and where to find your audience and things like that. So I would suggest the resources. There's a lot of entrepreneurial development resources like Pathstone and the public library. Marisol, I was just going to mention the public library has a business insight center, and I know they do. They can actually provide mailing lists and help do consumer research with you. So definitely, if you haven't, check out the Rochester Public Library Business Insight Center, it's called. Yes, it's a free service as well. Okay, so once you've determined behaviors and beliefs that your customer typically would have, demographics is also another standard part of your audience. I think this is a little bit less important these days, just because you can advertise based on interests and beliefs just as much as age. So demographics would be like age, geographic location, education level, income, occupation. And those matter a little bit less these days, I think, or should matter a little bit less than their behaviors and beliefs. And we're going to be talking more about how to find demographics as well. So one thing to note is most of us are just starting out here, right? So we can have an idea of who our audience is, and it might change over time. And that's totally expected, right? As your business grows, as you're learning more about who engages with your product the most, you're going to be learning. So know that your audience is something that's going to change over time, something that you're going to become more clear on who's the best audience for your business.
I think we're good. I don't see any hands up or any questions in the chat yet.
Okay, great. So just thinking for your business right now, who's your primary audience? What are their behaviors? What are their beliefs? What are the demographics of the people that you believe to be your audience?
Want to start calling on some names, Suzanne? Andrea says families.
And if you're having a hard time thinking of your audience, then maybe you could share what your business is and what you sell, and we could brainstorm with you.
Andrea, do you want to come off mute since you were the first one to put something in the chat? You said families. Tell us a little bit about your business.
Sure. I've been on my phone, so I pick it up, I need to type, I put it down. So I'm like, no one wants to do that. So I've got my video off as well. All right, so I bought 2 cottages that are super right next to each other. So I've decided to do it as a VRBO that's like time together, time apart. So like at the end of the day, if you want to go to your own little place and close the door, you can. So mine is like I'm picturing families, and I'm picturing like even generational families vacationing together. So you went on vacation, but you also brought your mom and dad, and then they maybe need to like tuck themselves away for their little afternoon nap, or you might be over here tucking babies away for an afternoon nap. So you kind of need that little space away from where the party's happening. You know, like kids go to the lake and swim, but we're going to have a little quiet time up here. So go do your thing or go ride your bikes or whatever. So that's me. So it's a kind of a cross-generational. So I do have to think about the needs for babies or toddlers that don't, you know, get down to the lake without being safe. So gates. And then I think about handrails for maybe older people who need to get up off the toilet and they need to have that extra handrail. So I'm just thinking of things like that.
Awesome. That sounds great. I know I'm planning an extended family trip, and time together and apart is important to maximize the quality time. It sounds like, you know, maybe you'll find that younger families having all those perks for the babies is where you kind of want to focus. And that's sort of what I, you know, was mentioning. As your business grows, your audience will become more clear. And it might change from what you originally expected. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, that sounds amazing, Andrea. Patty says, is it important to choose one audience instead of multiple?
I would suggest starting out to choose one. Although, so for example, like a nonprofit, for example, is going to have naturally two audiences. So it really depends on your business. And if you want to share what your business is, we can chat more too. But so for example, a nonprofit, they're going to have you know, the people they serve, right? The programs and the things that they offer to the community, the people they serve, that's going to be one audience. And then the other audience is going to be the people who make those programs possible. So the people who make donations, or the people who fund or volunteer to make those programs work. So that would naturally be two audiences for an organization. But in general, I think, you know, starting out, especially if you're retail, you have products, just kind of narrowing it down to one to kind of focus and fine tune from there, see if it works. I think it is a good place to start.
All right, Suzanne, just let me know if you want us to pick out one more person, if you want to go to the next slide.
Sure. If anybody, does anybody else want help talking about their audience, or?
Let's see who else. Jay Brown. I see married women, ages 25 to 45. Do you want to come off mute and tell us a little bit about your business?
Sure. So I have an esoteric natural skincare line. It is considered luxury, but I don't sell that. So my focus is primarily middle-aged women, 25 to like 45 in the suburban or inner city area. They will be college educated. They will be career focused. They'll live kind of a hectic lifestyle because they'll also be mothers. And then they're also mindful of what they put on their body and like clean eating. And then what my line will do for them is help give them a piece of luxury in their life with that 15 minutes they have for their self-care.
Awesome. I think that sounds very, you've clearly put work into that. And you can see how having something so clear, so specific, how that will help you, you know, put put marketing content together. And it's going to be much easier to be speaking to that specific crowd than everyone.
All right, I don't see any other questions so far, so we can go
Okay.
ahead.
All right. So once you have that audience, the main idea of who your audience is in mind, you want to think about where they can be found in the digital world. So of course, this includes social media sites, also Google, your Google business profile. You want to make sure you don't miss out on that. And other search engines, are they on blogs? Are they reading news? And then also just acknowledging that your website is also a place that could be found on the digital world. And what is it that you could have and you could offer on your website that would draw them there? So thinking of where they hang out, you want to keep your brand personality as well. So some of these social media sites might not be a good fit for your business, right? If you're super professional, reach the young professional crowd, TikTok probably, well, if it's young enough professional, maybe that would make sense, but just making sure that they kind of your business personality, your business products fit the digital world, and also that it's something that you're going to be comfortable posting on regularly. So if you don't know where they can be found in the digital world, ask them. So ask your current customers, where do you like to hang out online? And get their feedback so that you can start seeing if you see patterns and everyone's on Pinterest and you had no idea. Maybe that's, something you should put some time in building up.
I did see Elizabeth, you had your hand up. Did you still have a question? And in the meantime, I did put a question in the chat. I was just curious, where is everyone on the call finding their audience at the moment? So I know Jay said you're learning that social media isn't really your main way to reach your target. So I'm interested in learning, what other ways are you reaching your target? Heidi says LinkedIn. Beth says Facebook and website, talk of the town. Elizabeth, did we lose you?
No, I'm here. I'm just waiting for you. I didn't want to
I'm sorry.
interrupt you. Usually I tend to interrupt people, so I'm learning not to.
Tell us why you had your hand up, Elizabeth.
Well, my question is, okay, my target is to the husbands, because usually half of my customers, they buy because, oh, my husband likes this, or my husband, it's good for him. So how you make how you attract that customer, even though he's not going to buy, the wife is going to buy, but it's good for, how do we deal with that?
Can you let us know what your product is? What is it that you sell?
I sell, it's a plant-based protein. It's a spread dip hummus. It's not a hummus actually. And that's what I'm trying to differentiate from hummus. It's nothing like hummus, doesn't taste like hummus, doesn't have tahini or the ingredients that hummus does, except for the chickpeas. It's the only one ingredient and oil maybe, and that's it. So, and it's a product that it's a new brand product. So it's like, there's nothing like that in the whole market. So for me to introduce this new product as a food product, and it's a protein, it's a little bit hard to explain. I have to kind of not educate my customers, but I have to tell them, hey, this is not, it's not mayonnaise, but it has eggs, but it's not an oil, but it's not mayonnaise.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of like that. So
yeah, so I think that a lot of marketing is helping to educate. So thinking of, what have you found people that like hummus like it, or are there, and that could help you figure out your target audience, or health food, or plant-based eaters?
yeah. Well, usually my product was made for to improve your health a little bit because my husband had diabetes, so and he was eating too much of spread dips. He's a dipper, so anything he can dips in, he will eat it. So most of the dips that they have so many chemicals. So I make something that will be good for me and will be good for him, mostly for him. So that's how it came out, and I want something that will fill him up. And proteins are really good, fill you up. So I and so it's my main customers are people that they want to eat healthy, but most of them they're vegans too because it's gluten free, it's dairy free, it's a plant based. It has I use nutritional yeast too, so it gives more vitamins to it. So vegetarians eat it, and just people in common that, oh, I really like to dip. I buy dips, and your dip is better than the ones that are in the market. So it's a little bit broad. Like my youngest customer is 18 months. My oldest, maybe it's 70. And
So I think going back to, right, you're going to be focusing more on what their interests are, right? Healthier food, trying to be healthier, but still enjoying your food, right? Those are the behaviors you're looking for. It doesn't have to be a specific age group, and that's okay. That's okay. You could say families, right?
yeah,
Or if you're finding that one family member is buying it for another family member.
okay. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Elizabeth, don't forget to put your information in the chat because you have a couple.
I think also,
clients.
yes.
Well, actually, sadly, I'm moving to Utah because of family for this year, but I'm going to start a subscription. So I'm going to start mailing to New York because I do have a lot of customers that they are like bump because of the news. And hopefully in Utah, there are a lot of angel funders that we're looking for. So in order to expand, so we can have the product everywhere.
Mhm.
So
Well, if you have a newsletter or something, at least put that in there because that way everyone that's interested, they'll find out when you get that angel investor, how to buy your product. So go ahead and put that contact information in the chat. And there was maybe one more question. I know Ashley said she's found 90% of her target market is actually referral based. So moving forward, are there any ideas on how to incorporate that into digital marketing?
Yeah, so I think it's gonna always be a combination, right? And so
Suzanne, you're on mute right now.
sorry about that.
It's okay.
Yes, so it will be a combination. So referrals are always going to be the best source, right? And so definitely maximize on that. If you find it's working well, make sure you're asking for the referrals for people who don't naturally do it. But also maybe asking those referrals, right, where they spend time online, would help you find maybe a couple of places where you could set up shop online. But also I think just building your own website is a great place to start regardless.
Perfect. And we have another question, but I will get to that. Andrea, I do see your question, but Suzanne, if you want to go ahead and go over this slide.
Okay. So yes, generating leads. So once we have an idea of our target audience, and we want them to make a purchase, but they're not quite ready to buy yet, we need to gather their information, right, and stay in touch with them so we can build that relationship. And then eventually ask for the sale when they're ready. So what is a lead generator? A lead generator is something that is interesting and valuable for your customer in exchange for their contact information, right? And so you use that by offering it. They plug in their information, you're gathering their information, and then you're following up with those emails or those text messages, and making sure that you're following up, providing valuable content, but also calls to action, right? You're inviting them to take a step farther. So examples of lead generators, and we're going to get into more detail in the future course, but examples of this would be a free ebook download, so free tips or how-tos, maybe with the dip, forgive me, I forgot your name, Elizabeth, I believe. With the dip, she could say, 10 great reasons that you need this dip instead of hummus or something. You could offer a webinar for free, create a quiz, maybe a 30-day challenge, offer a referral program, set up a giveaway, set up a newsletter. These are all ideas for that you could put together that could be a way that you can give something of value that's helping establish yourself as an expert in what you do, right? Because you are, and also getting them one step closer to a sale. So I know it feels like a big topic to kind of just brush over lightly, but we don't have much more time to go into detail with this tonight. But does anyone have any questions in terms of lead generators?
Let's see. So it's not quite lead generating question, but the question was, how do you use WhatsApp to market?
I actually do not have experience with that. So that is something I don't have an answer for.
No problem. Andrea, we'll have to do some research and get back to you on that. I don't see any questions, any additional questions in the chat or any hands up. Oh, wait, I lied. Julia, did you want to come off mute and ask your question?
Sure. Thank you so much, Suzanne and Pat Stone, with this. This is very informational. Will there be a time where you can actually show us how to post on Instagram and what is supposed, how sometimes people dress them up and so that it pops the eyes? Will there be in the 4 sessions that are coming, will that be happening? Sometimes I post on Facebook. I guess I said the right thing. I have a lot of people saying, when can I get this? When can I get this? And then they don't show up. So I think I can get excited. I get them excited, but then the follow through, I think it's
so in terms of you feel like you need help with the content or with the what you're asking them to do?
Both.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah, we'll definitely be talking more about both of those things in future. Yeah, there's one session that we'll just talk about basically, all the things you can be using in terms of content. And that's the biggest struggle, is always having time to come up with more content, right? And so my goal is to help you build a library that you can be pulling from, instead of every week feeling like, oh shoot, I need to post again, or you have, lots of content you can pull from, and exactly what you need to post.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks for your question, Julia. And I'll just kind of put this out there for everyone. So for example, things like this, workshops, we also get a ton of people who register, and then day of, a portion of those people actually show up, right? So you're looking at probably 50% of everyone that actually registered, sometimes a little less. It happens in every single industry, because we've had the same conversation with people in all types of industries. So I would just say, don't be too hard on yourself either. If you're expecting 30 if you need 30 people to show up, then make sure that you have at least anywhere between 60 to 100 people register, because the reality is the 30 people will show up, not the entire 100 that registered. So this is just for everyone out there that feels like they're not doing enough. It's just how humans function, apparently. Um,
Especially in the digital world, right? When things are so easily accessible. Yeah.
Right, right. Crystal did mention, she said, I made a monthly text subscription called Meaningful Monday Messages. People subscribe to my text list and I send them a monthly inspirational message along with my promotions and product offerings. Would that
Exactly.
qualify?
Yeah. Yep. That's exactly. You're giving them something that, you know, is valuable to them, something inspirational, something, but it also is promoting your products, right? And if they're subscribing, then clearly you're providing something that is meaningful. And it sounds like you're doing consistent follow-up, which is the main point of these. So that's great. Yeah. And you
Perfect.
don't have to just have one. So I would suggest, you know, coming up with a couple ideas and seeing which one works better, right?
Okay, and then Elizabeth asks, what social media would you recommend to post more content? You may have missed this earlier, Elizabeth. It kind of depends on your audience. So if the people that you are attracting is they tend to be on Instagram, Instagram is going to be for you. But if you're finding that maybe Pinterest is your idea because, you know, maybe people are trying a lot of DIY recipes or something like that, then maybe Pinterest is going to be, you know, a better idea for you. But Suzanne, if you wanted to add to that.
Yeah, I'd also say, yes, definitely thinking of your audience. Where are they going to be? That's the most important. But also, what are you going to be comfortable doing? So the big key when it comes to social is consistency, right? And so if you're not going to be comfortable posting consistently on whichever platform, then maybe start with one that you're more comfortable with. And then, you know, as you do it, I'm sure you'll get more confident, and they're very similar. So once you get comfortable with one, then maybe try out another one.
Awesome. I don't see any additional questions. So if you want to continue, Suzanne.
Great. Okay. Keep moving right along here. Oh, and as an example of a lead generator, here is one of mine. So 5 keys to success for your startup, with the QR code there. And it also has the link in the slides that you'll receive. But just have some marketing tips that you can go through, and then I'll be following up with you via email, because that's like I said, an example of what I'm using as a lead generator. Okay, so the next step, and this is where I live, so this is kind of my area of passion, but is your visual brand. So I spend my days building visual brands for company, as well as taking custom photos for businesses. So when you think of your visual brand, components are obviously your logo, colors, fonts, and any photos and graphics that you're using. So like we talked about earlier, all these parts can play in with the word, along with the words you're using, right? And all of them can communicate something. So you want to use these for your benefit. Make sure that they're helping to communicate who you are. They should represent who you are well. Another important key when it comes to your visual brand is to use it consistently. So if you're using one logo on your website, you should use the same logo on your business cards or on your flyers. If you can have several versions, but you should be clear on, you know, like for instance, this one has one that's horizontal, one that's vertical, and one that's for a white background. So it's clear, you know, which context you would use which logo. And the idea is you want to earn brand recognition. If somebody sees you on Facebook and then someone sees you at the farmer's market, you want them to realize you're the same company and not leave them guessing. So do you currently have a visual brand? And if so, how do you feel about it? Or what's a next step you feel like you need to take when it comes to your visual brand? And it will be talking, there's a whole course, one of the weeks is only on visual brand. So if you're interested in learning more details and just diving in deeper here, definitely join us.
Ashley says she is rebranding. So she's rebranding her logo. Let's see. Elizabeth says, does the font have to be consistent as well? So meaning the website labels, things like that.
Great. Yes, so Elizabeth, I'd recommend checking out Google Fonts if you haven't already. They're free source fonts that you're able to use. So pick a couple. I always recommend like 2, one, and make them ones that you can read really easily. Because even if you have the perfect words you're saying, but they can't read it because of the font, obviously that's not going to work well. So pick a couple fonts and just use them consistently. But Google Fonts, you can download them and install them on your laptop or use them in Canva, which you should be using if you haven't already. And we'll talk about more about that. It's a free design platform.
Yeah, to Suzanne's point, keep in mind your audience. So if anyone on the call, you know, if their target audience are people over 50 or just people that don't see very well, make sure that you're keeping that in mind and you're not using something that's very thin, you know, that they just can't see, because again, it's going to be a problem. You're not going to be able to target your market. Ashley says, there is such a science behind marketing. I felt like I was wedding planning, but it's worth it. Yes, there definitely is, Ashley. All right. I don't think I see any other questions. I don't see any hands up.
Okay.
If I missed anything, please feel free to put it in the chat, but you can go ahead, Suzanne.
Yep, we'll move on. Okay, so obviously we've been talking tonight in terms of you as the business owner, taking the reins when it comes to your marketing and really putting in work there. And I believe that's a great place to start. But recognizing that as your business grows, especially if marketing is not an area where you feel excited or confident in, there's times when hiring a professional makes sense. So I just wanted to address a few of those times. One of them is, I would recommend, if you're having a visual brand developed, particularly your logo, is to hire a professional designer. There are a lot of online options that are cheaper, but I'd caution against them. They just don't allow for as much collaboration with you as the business owner, and also might be limited in terms of what they provide to you. So just be cautious of anything that's super cheap in terms of logo. And you want to make sure that you're getting something that's going to work well as technically be what it needs to be. Another area that I'd recommend is photography. Even if you're taking your own product photos and feel pretty confident with that, you as a business owner should be highlighted. And so hiring a photographer can help build your library that you can use on all these things we've been talking about, on your website, on your social media, in your marketing, so that people know who you are, and small businesses, that's something that we should highlight. Another area would be specialized areas. So like SEO, which is search engine optimization, or SEM, which is search engine marketing, videography, any specialized campaign that you really feel like you want to maximize on. Those are other areas where I'd recommend hiring out. And then as your business grows, so as you have the money to be a little bit more flexible with your spending, and you want to outsource your marketing, then, you know, definitely have input, and you, like I said, know your business better than anyone. So make sure that whoever you hire understands your vision, understands what you sell, and how it makes the world better. And if they understand that, then they should be able to do well with your marketing. Are there any questions when it comes to hiring, when to hire, and figuring out when to hire?
So we did have a hand raised right before
Yeah.
you went to that part. Tatenda, did you want to come off mute? And I'm so sorry if I mispronounced your name.
Thank you very much. No, you pronounced it correctly. My question is there any specific templates that are available? Because one of the things that I'm struggling with is I know who my ideal client is, but it's when it comes to my marketing, is the templates, where to start off, and also CRM systems, is there anything that you can suggest that will be ideal? So I work with coaches and speakers. So I plan their events from start to finish. So that includes venue sourcing, sourcing out all the vendors, on the day management, and managing the guests, and the actually all day management.
Yes. Can you remind me what part one was? So the CRM.
Okay, so
recommendations.
is there any CRM system that you can recommend for events management that will be easier? So at least it would be able to do all the CRM and also be able to
Templates.
do
Yes.
the templates as well. Yeah.
Okay. In terms of CRM systems, I don't have a particular recommendation. I don't organize large events or anything. So unfortunately, I don't have a recommendation in terms of that. But in terms of templates, definitely canva.com has lots of professional design templates, and it's free to sign up. There's obviously paid upgrades within Canva, but there's any sort of, it's a flyer, if it's a presentation, if it's a video, there's templates for all of that. And especially once you get your visual brand established, then kind of those working together make it super easy to, put together your content.
Thank you for your question, Tatenda. All right, Crystal says or asks, I've heard of SEO, but can you give an example of SEM?
Sure. So anytime you Google something, the top few ads, they're always changing exactly how many, but will be paid advertisers, and they'll be labeled paid advertisers. And so that's what search engine marketing is. The optimization is where you fall organically when someone searches you.
Perfect. All right, she says, I know what you mean. Okay. I think we're good on questions, at least.
Okay. So we are getting towards the end here. So you'll be receiving this little basic marketing plan worksheet, which I would encourage you. I know we've talked a lot about these things. Maybe you've been thinking about them tonight, but I'd encourage you to set aside some time and fill this out, and hopefully come up with some good next steps when it comes to developing your marketing plan.
And just for everyone on the call, so Marisol is going to go ahead and add that file here so that everyone can download it. But we will also send you an email with this template, I guess you would say, right? Attached, as well as the link to tonight's recording. We'll also send out the registration link for the 4-week course, just in case you didn't get a chance to see that. So if you look in the chat right now, you'll be able to click the file and download it.
Great, thank you. So I know we've been plugging the 4-week course a lot tonight. Hopefully you don't need to be sold anymore, but just to review what we'll be going into in more detail, how to build a strong visual brand, how to grow your online presence. So talking in more detail about your audience and your value proposition and how to generate more leads. And then creating effective content. So coming up with that content library that you can reference and will hopefully simplify your marketing routine for your business. And then assembling a marketing plan. So kind of putting all these pieces together and coming up with a plan for the next 3 months for your business. So I hope you'll join us, and just definitely keep putting in the hard work into your business, and it will pay off in the end.
Thank you, Suzanne. And I also just wanted to mention to those of you that were in our She Means Business course that just wrapped up. I know I see a few people on tonight. So similar to that course, we'll actually have a time slot for office hours. Those of you that have never been to one of our virtual courses, basically what will happen is Suzanne will provide the standard course on a Tuesday evening from 5 to 6:30 p.m. And then we'll have open office hours on Thursday, where you can basically, it's not mandatory, but it's highly recommended to go in case you have any questions based on like the material that Suzanne is covering, or any questions specific to your business, right? We've already gone over tonight how some folks have a service business and some folks have a product business. And sometimes that looks very different in terms of CTAs, in terms of marketing, right? The things that you're doing. So the office hours, it's really a good opportunity for you to go in there and ask those questions, and also just listen to what's happening within your cohort, because a lot of times you're learning from what's happening to another business owner, right? Whether you've already gone through something similar, or maybe it comes up in the future and you can then think back like, oh, I remember when this happened, this is what they did, or this is what they did, and I'm going to try and do this a different way. So that's, a nice little perk that we're going to have in this 4-week course. Let's see, Marisol is going to go ahead and add that registration link into the chat again, if you have not had a second to register for the course. Again, as you can see here, it starts May 23rd. It's 4 Tuesdays, it's 4 consecutive Tuesdays from 5 to 6:30 p.m. It is a free course. And that's really it for tonight. We'll kind of open it up if anyone else has any questions regarding the material that Suzanne has covered tonight. I see some thank yous coming in the chat. I'll wait to see if I see any hands or any questions in the chat. But I want to thank Suzanne for coming in tonight and just diving into this information. Like, we all hear the buzzword about how marketing is, like you can't do anything without marketing, right? So there is a lot of information to tackle. And so we've kind of just thrown a lot at you tonight, sorry. And we're hoping to kind of really pace it out a little bit more in the 4-week course. But again, as I've said in other workshops, this really is something that it's not like not a never ending. It is a never ending thing, right? Because like you don't always just learn the entire thing and then that's it, right? It's constantly evolving. So you as business owners should make sure that you are, again, staying on top of any kind of changes that are happening, because it really is going to affect not only you as a business owner, but your clients, right? Maybe they're starting to veer to another business because maybe that business is targeting them a specific way that they like to be targeted now. We do have some questions coming in. Let's see. Says, do we have to register for each date on Eventbrite or just the first one and use the same link? So here's the thing about Eventbrite. As we're talking about CRMs and things like that, technically, it does want you to register for all 4 classes. It's not the end of the world if you don't. We'll still have your name if you register for the first class and just assume that you're going to go to all 4 classes. But that's just kind of one of those tedious things that unfortunately happens with Eventbrite at this point. Maybe they'll change it. So far, 3 years in, this is what it's been. So at least if you register for the first course, we'll hope to see you for the 4 classes. So thank you for that question, Ashley. Shanice asked the same thing. All right. Just make sure I didn't miss anybody's questions here. All right. I don't see any additional questions. I don't see any hands up. So I think we're good for tonight. So you can get 6 minutes back for your night. Thank you all for joining us tonight, and we hope to see you in 2 weeks. Have a great night, everybody.